Hi.
How did you get to England?
I was thinking very much of coming over and spending a few weeks or months and then catch a ship. It was quite an adventure for a 20-year-old to come 8,000 miles and don't know where they're coming to. I had the privilege of having a choice because the Barbados government in association, because the government was in colonial times, Barbados was an independent those days, so they didn't have a high commissioner, but they had a sort of emissary or a small attachment where they helped with the settlement. So when we came, we were given the opportunity to either have bed and breakfast where there were, that was organized. So I took that opportunity of having bed and breakfast, and I was assigned to Bow Garage.
Right.
So Bow, East London is very far from West London because we landed at Heathrow, and we had to travel all over London, crisscross London, before we get to East London. So we did get to East London, about 7 o'clock, and this was in September. So it was not warm, not cold, in between. And we were greeted by the landlady, a wonderful Jewish lady who gave us the house rules, and we were told we can use the toilets, but we can't use the bathroom. And we were, this big room, we had 7 beds in it, but there were only 6 of us, so we all decided to choose a bed. Everyone, most of my colleagues were in shock because I think they expected a little different. The blankets was those old army blankets, and really pretty rough. And it's tough, it was really tough.
Back to the time before you emigrated, so where was your family from?
Oh, my mother was from St. George, that's in the middle of the island, and my dad was from town. And the story goes, my uncle, Lionel.
Right.
I asked Lionel, I always find out a little bit about him. He said, well, I know you didn't meet your mother in the country, so you might have met her in town where she had some relatives. And my dad was an engineer on one of the launches, because in those days there was no deep water harbor. In the Korean, what it was called.
What is a launch? Sorry.
A launch is a small boat, small motorboat, which would have taken out passengers or tow, what they call lighters with cargo, to the big ships, which was anchored in Carlisle Bay.
Okay.
So he obviously would have met people. If the Queen had come, they would have to come by launch. They might have a special launch for it, but everybody had to get off the ship and get on a launch, or sometimes they had oar boats where you roll them. That also was a way of getting them from the ships to land, which was called the baggage warehouse, which was like a small customs.
Right.
That's still there, but you might pass it and don't recognize it.
What was the story that you might have heard from your mother and father, or that they might have told you?
I think, Calvin.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. That's our late cousin who passed last year. He had written the family history, or started the family history. And it is true, speaking to uncles and aunts, that he was able to trace it back to as far as the records would have gone in the archives, in the National Archives. And thankfully, your aunt, Naila, she picked it up and she continued with the family history. And you've been able to find that or my great great-grandparents who were Africans, were enslaved Africans. We found their baptism records and their marriage certificates. And we even had an opportunity to go to the same church that they were married at and enjoyed the sunrise. And that's a beautiful, when we go back, we must also do that, over St. John's, and you know that.
Yeah.
Up there. And when you see the sun coming out from the sea and the day opening, because as the more of the sun comes out, the day opens, something I think you would appreciate.
Mm-hmm. Tell me the story about your nickname.
My nickname was Biggies, and they claimed that my size of my feet was big. So the name Biggies. So as you know, when you go along Horse Road like that, and you see one of my older friends, Bob and Biggies. So that name is still there. And quite a few people know me just as Biggies. But outside of the area, I'm Harrington or Harry.
Right.
Yeah.
What is something about Barbadian heritage that you would like future generations to know?
There was one thing I could recommend, is self-help. I really feel it's so important to use your own resources to help yourself before asking anyone to help you. And just family. That's the whole concept of family helping each other and working together with the more enhancement, light work. So yes, helping self, helping each other, and being there for each other.
Can I offer you a drink?
You mean a shot?
I suppose.
That's what we would have called a shot. And as you're saying that, I brought along 3 generational glasses. This is a grog glass, and this is one of your grandfather's grog glass, and this is about 70 years old. And I would say that I first saw drinking rum in the house, and there was always rum there in a decanter. So this is a grog glass, 70 years old. This is my in-laws, one of their grog glasses, and this is a souvenir grog glass with, the Barbados broken traded. So yes, I'll have a shot.
All right, and then
I'll have it in the old traditional glass. That's good. Thank you.
it smells nice.
Yeah.
It smells nice.
Wow. Big man.
Telling you.
In any case.
Cheers.
Cheers. But before that, when you open the bottle, what you do?
Yeah, you give some to the ancestors.
Yes, that was something that I always saw the elders did, and especially around the rum shops, and even at home, you open the bottle and you pour a bit for the ancestors. There was also something that I found that the presence of the ancestors within the family was very prevalent, but I didn't work it out. I think I worked it out very much when I was invited to a meal at an African restaurant with some colleagues, and we sat around the floor and we had the meal in the middle. And the first thing they did was to take out some of the foods and put in a special plate for the ancestors.
Right.
And for me, I recognized that we would have, as children, we would have been told, leave some for manners. You don't eat all your food, you just leave a little bit. So imagine a young brain man like you leaving, you're hungry, and you got to leave a little bit. That was really a little sacrifice.
So.
Yeah. Up the road. Right?
Up the road.
Ooh. Cromanti. I think the choice of that name for that rum is really excellent name. So if you go back to our enslaved days as African people in the Caribbean, the Cromantis were one of the group of people who were captured from Africa, who loved freedom. Or they fought. Or they fought. And they were seen to be, because they loved freedom, they were seen to be not nice people. Because to be nice, you would have to embrace captivity.
Right.
So Cromanti is about freedom, strength, and power.
Differentiate between Cromanti and Maroons?
The same people.
Okay.
The same people. But you'll find Cromanti behavior right through the islands. There are any defiance you'll find coming from the Cromantis. You might also hear about Cubbas. You ever heard the term Cubba?
No.
Yeah, I heard it there when we were home a few years ago. A parliamentarian telling another parliamentarian, don't behave like a Cubba. And that was interesting because a lot of people don't recognize that Cubbas is African people from the Congo.
How was rum used in our family in terms of celebrations and
Oh,
ceremonies?
I first recognized what rum is all about from at the home. Because, again, I spoke about the decanter, always had a decanter for the rum. And the difference between rum drinking in those days, as we talk about social drinking, was people drank indoors.
Yeah.
You know, some other people drank in the shops and whatnot, you know, but my father was very much indoor drinker, and friends would come in and they would sit down and they'd drink. And I just learned that that's something I want to do too, drink some rum too, as I grew up.
Yeah.
You know, and I succeeded.
What do you wish most from my future?
First of all, I want you to be happy. I want you to fulfill all your ambitions and desires. I want you to know who you are. I want you, as your name goes, Akinola, I want you to follow your name, to be strong. And I want to be wealthy, not just in material, but mentally.
Yeah.
I think you're on that path.
Thank you.
How would you like to see yourself in 5 to 10 years' time? 5 years first and then 10 years.
Well, in 5 years, I would have not too long left school. Well, 4 years out of school. I could see myself stable if I go on doing what I'm doing currently. In 10 years, maybe I've taken that stability and grown it to include some of the like-minded people that I've come into contact with since I've come here, maybe even from home, to like almost build a society almost of musicians and producers, DJs, so that they have a place to perform and, you know, get the music that they want to release out and not think like they're being judged or, you know, not discriminated, but yeah.
I know your music you play and you listen to is different than the ones I was brought up with, you know. One of the differences that we had as youngsters 70 years ago was old people, middle-aged people, and young people danced to the same music. You know, we didn't have different genres. It was, either soca or some type of church music. That we all now there's so much diversity, if that's the word.
Yeah.
That there's so many different.
But I feel like regardless of your age, growing up in Barbados, you all experience the same thing. So hearing that music would evoke a similar emotion in all of you.
Yeah, that's correct. But that's I'm saying that the young people and the elders, there wasn't a difference in music.
Okay.
Yeah, that's we just had one music. Either it was good music or bad music.
Okay.
Those were the only two types of music.